to have with us today John I know I'm going to chop this up. I have a habit of chopping up names. He is the owner of Kingdom Mobile Mechanic. This is a business that if sometimes you are ever maybe in a need of a mechanic, he will come to your fix your car. What we're going to be talking about, and he'll share more details about that as we get into the interview here. Also with him is Kerry Hart, and she also owns a business, and it's called Trinity Bookkeeping Solutions. So if anybody out there is maybe this is the end of the year, maybe you're thinking, maybe I need to go with somebody else. You're looking for maybe someone who can do your books or accounting. Maybe this may be the individual that can help you out. So she's going to be talking a little bit about her business and what she's doing and how she's serving the community as well. But thank you so much for being here. Say hello to the people that are listening out there right now.
Thanks you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Juan Berberena.
Berberena. Yeah, I know I asked you about earlier, right? But I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm really good at chopping up names. So I try not to do that. But thank you so much again for being here and for taking time, right, to be able to come and to share what y'all are doing here for the community.
Thank you. We appreciate it very much.
I said earlier, I had the privilege of meeting you for the very first time about 3 weeks ago, so to speak, or 4 weeks ago. Came to one of our meetings, and I'm just curious, that was the first time that you've gone to one of our Bridging the Gap meetings. What did you think about that, or did you find it beneficial, or would you recommend it, or just to get in your own words about the networking meeting we had?
Well, from our side, I thought it was outstanding. It was also, wasn't exactly what we were expecting when we first got out there, because we'd signed up online and seen that it was going to be a CPS sponsored event, and we had gone out there. And then when we actually got out there, found out that it was more of a faith-based and faith-centered, and that was so refreshing to have a lot of different business minds in there, and everybody doing their own thing, but everybody doing it for the right reasons, and having a drive behind it, which is exactly what we do and how we do it. So that was it was wonderful to meet like-minded people who were doing or have the same drive and motivations that we have behind our businesses, which is even why the names of our businesses are what they are.
Right.
It's very intentional. It's deliberate, and it also it reminds us what we're doing, how we're doing it, and how it should be done.
Right. And real quick, just to add to that, the meeting that you came to was in partnership with CPS Energy to Business. Julia, which is the one who operates or runs that, is she is a believer. And I found that out when we were going to have our very first meeting at CPS headquarters. And she mentioned to me, she said, hey, can we pray before we do our meeting? I said, oh, absolutely. Thank you so much. But yeah, that specifically was geared toward businesses and nonprofits. Our regular Bridging the Gap meetings are open to pretty much anyone who, like I said, provides a service or a resource, whether you're a business, a nonprofit, a church, a ministry, a school. More recently, we've had schools come on board. So it is open to anyone, and this is what we're about, right? Bridging that gap. And if you really think about it, community, there's a word that stands out in there for me. It's unity. And it's being able to come together as a community to be united. And so I appreciate, I'm glad that you had that, impression of what you saw or what you felt there. That encourages me to keep doing what we're doing. But thank you for those words as well.
Yeah, I'm with Juan. I didn't realize the partnership that was there between, your everyday, what you might call a corporation or a large business outfit such as CPS Energy. And I thought it was beautiful how it had brought together those various businesses and, like John said, the like-mindedness, and just really bringing all those individuals together and having the same, mindset,
right,
and approach on business and why you're doing what you're doing.
Sure. And that's important. I mean, I know I've had a business before, so I understand the business concept of, building a business and making sure it grows, because a lot of times, especially in these tough times of the economy right now, right after the pandemic, we lost a lot of businesses because they just either weren't able to adapt or whatever circumstance, took them down. But I think we're like in a rebuilding process right now, even though we are where we're at economically wise, right, with the so-called recession and all that. So it's important that us as individuals be able to support local small businesses and be able to help them, because they're struggling just like we are as well, even more because you have more responsibility. And so I love the fact of what you're doing. And I know sometimes people, especially on Facebook, they'll put out, do you know of a good mechanic? And so now I know of a good mechanic, somebody that will actually go to your, I'm assuming you will go to a location and maybe be able to evaluate or look at a car or a vehicle and be able to fix it on site as well. Can you share a little bit more about that?
So we originally started. We originally started with one vehicle. It's an ambulance, a repurposed ambulance. So we gutted the whole thing and put toolboxes on the inside, which is from my initial military service to what I ended up doing in the Coast Guard, and then to where I am now, and all the vehicle or the automotive experience that I have in between. But it really came from way back when I was 17 years old, working at a Army Reserve unit, working with ambulances. And it's just, the platform works. It works on so many levels. I mean, the lighting, the headroom, the compartments. It's just it's designed to be a very useful utility vehicle, and it works for me. So we have two of them, and that's where the initial idea came from. And then we came up with, okay, well, we're going to go and fix these vehicles. We're going to fix them on site. So we keep our I do lots of different kinds of repairs, lots of diagnosis, electrical, mechanical. We limit our repairs to normally anything that's going to be about 3 hours or less, just due to the platform that we're working on, right? We don't want to leave something broken in front of somebody's house, or have something torn apart, something that's going to last for forever. So we normally limit our jobs time-wise, but we get a lot done, and there's a lot that people currently go to the dealership for, or they're going and they've got to wait. They're getting great service, but they've got to wait for weeks, or it's 2 weeks to get in, or 3 weeks to get in, or they're backlogged. And there's a lot of these jobs that can be done, just on site or diagnosed on site, put you in the right direction, and repaired for. It's just a whole lot easier,
right,
on the customer to do it that way.
The convenience side of being able to say, hey, I don't have to go and deal with taking it to a shop, and then knowing that, hey, I can't get to your car until about maybe 2 weeks or something like that. And then sometimes you leave the car there, and it's like, well, I haven't worked on it because I got to work on everybody else's car.
Yeah.
So the convenience aspect, I can see that is very something that I think people really would enjoy, being able to have that, to be able to know that I can make a call and it's going to get fixed pretty much. You said something earlier that I just want to let people know. You are someone who served. Thank you so much for your service to our country.
Thank you.
And definitely want to be able to put that out, because those who serve put a lot on the line for us, and I'm always appreciative of those who have served, and anything that we can do to be able to facilitate what y'all are doing, especially if you're all in business. We definitely want to be able to help to put the word out and let people know about the service that you provide as well. Kerry, what is your situation, or how did you get involved with this? I know it's a joint, not necessarily a joint venture, but I think you help them out with some of the numbers and everything that comes with, that part of being able to run a business.
I do, yes. So my business actually spawned from my husband's.
Okay.
And when he started it back at the beginning of COVID, it was literally the same month as COVID.
Perfect timing, huh?
It was actually. It gave us.
Oh my God, yeah.
Gave us a good opportunity to get into the business at a nice, slow, gradual pace. And then when we started coming out of COVID, and everybody's, they haven't driven their cars in months. They haven't started them. So there were a lot of phone calls we got. And I guess before I segue over into my business, I kind of wanted to add on to what John was saying about the services and everything. Because one of the things I also do is I'm his office administrator, if you will. So if you call, you're going to get me. So
You're in the background, right? I mean, literally, you're in the background.
I am, and I'm a background person, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So takes me a little while, in the limelight thing to warm up to that. But what I hear a lot when folks call, and one of the things I was hoping that would come out of our talk with you is not a lot of people are aware that there are mobile mechanics out there.
Exactly.
The services available and what what his company provides. And it's not much different than what you would find at a shop, other than, as he mentioned, the level, the type of service that can be provided, right? So something within the parameters of 3 to 4 hours, right? Because as he mentioned, doesn't want to leave anything stranded, or we really try to provide a white glove service. We like to finish things from beginning to end. So I should say he does. So, but, and there's also there's those special cases, because we do have a little shop on the side where he'll take certain cases in and help folks out when something's a little bigger than a 3 to 4 hour job.
Okay.
But those are, case by case basis that we do. So anyway, with my business, like I said, it spawned off of his handling the books and getting into the accounting aspect of it. It's as I've gotten into it, I'm learning, I'm seeing that there's this whole virtual bookkeeping world out there that I think is also new, right? Like the mobile mechanic business. So, and there's a lot of small businesses that have started up as a result of COVID, and you're just seeing a lot of it, right? And San Antonio's huge as far as the volume of small businesses. So I've gotten into that virtual bookkeeping world, and with my husband's business, basically service-based, but I also actually have a couple of nonprofit clients that I assist.
Okay.
So there's a wide array of small businesses out there, right? That it's really, for me, it depends on what I prefer to do, is to sit down with a prospective client and talk to them and make sure it's a good fit between us and that we're going to work well, because I'm dealing with somebody's finances.
Sure.
You're getting very personal, especially in respects to a small business, because that's their livelihood. So I can do all sorts, day to day. It's really just, let's sit down and talk and see what do you need. Can I service you? So. And
that's very important. Last week we had the United States Labor Division here. She was here and talking about how the importance of, especially I know being able to, if you do have a business and you have employees, that all the aspects of what you have to do, what you got to pay, and all this. So that's part of the finances of a business, right? And so keeping the books, and I always tell people, right, like even nonprofits that are starting off, I said, look, you may not want to do the finances, and you think it's a hassle, it's a chore, whatever the case, but make sure you do it right, because the last thing you want is you do something wrong, and something you're gonna have to deal with it later, and it could get you in a whole lot of trouble. So the best thing is, that's a big priority, or something you really need to focus on. I mean, your business is important overall, but I think if you have that intact, everything else falls into place, because the finances are a big part of a business, right? And if you do it right, you're good. You grow, you prosper. But if you're going to cut corners here and there, the chances of you making a mistake and having the IRS come down on you or anything like that, it's not worth it, right? And I'm sure you can attest to that.
Oh, very much. It's a large aspect of the business, and what I think a lot of small business owners may not realize is most small businesses go under because they don't have their finances managed, right? And it's the majority of them. I've heard a number of like around 75%. They go under because their books aren't managed. They don't know how much money they have or don't have to spend on improvements, or just even basic equipment and supplies to run their business, right? It's not going to be lack of demand.
Like
yeah, exactly. All those pieces. And can you really afford to hire employees, or should you go the contractor route? So, yeah. And it's a, having gone through this with my husband and seeing everything that's involved in starting and running a small business, I've seen where it's very effective. It's highly effective to have someone to take that stress and that weight off on managing the books. Someone who knows what they're doing and can provide you some guidance and a bit of financial advice. As a bookkeeper, I'm not a CPA or a tax accountant. I'm not going to have that background, but just having been part of starting a small business and kind of had my hands in the pot with it,
Right.
I have that perspective.
Yeah, and it's good to have, like you were talking about, have someone to keep you in check, right? And you can, I'm sure it's even better if your wife is the person having your finances, because again, you're out there, you got to know who you're hiring, right? Because it's like you can have somebody that may not be the best that you could possibly hire, and then you're gonna have problems with that because they're like, well, I didn't get this done, or I didn't file this, or whatever the case may be. And I think this is possibly works, I don't know, really well, because both of you are married, and this is kind of a joint venture. You of course having what you do, and then you having your mechanics, mobile mechanic on the side. I think it seems like it would be a good thing going on, right?
We seem to work well together. I think she's geared that way. That's how she works. She says she's in the background, but she's really our foundation of everything. So she is.
It's like my big fat Greek wedding when she says, "I'm the neck that turns the head."
Yeah, everybody has a part, right? Everybody has a part, and everybody's good at
Exactly.
something. So it's good to tap into what you're good at. I know, like my wife, she likes the finance aspect of it. She's good with numbers, and I'm like, yeah, math. I found a way to get around it in school, so I didn't have to take anything other than Math 1. So yeah, definitely partnerships work good, because a lot of times we may be lacking, or we're short in a certain thing, and somebody else that can come in and fill that gap, or vice versa, right? And be able to work together and benefit each other. I know you were talking about how things have changed as well, and one of the things I think now is that, and I'm thinking that you never saw that before. It's like curbside service. You go to HEB and then place an order, make a phone call or an email, whatever the case, and then all of a sudden you just show up and it gets done. So I think the convenience of what we're living in today's society, this may be something that maybe more mechanics may be doing. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, if you look at if you just take a drive, you'll see lots and lots of shops looking for techs, and there are a lot of techs going out on their own, and there's no shortage of mobile mobile mechanics. You can find them. I think what sets us apart from the very beginning, and like I said, I've stayed very true to why we started and why we do what we do. And from the very beginning, and some, you can look at like my Google reviews, and you'll see that my customers seem to appreciate it. But our main objective is to educate, and it always has been. That's been number one from the very beginning. So yes, we're going to go out. Yes, we're going to diag. We're going to fix your vehicle. We're going to see what's going on. But the big thing is that I want to educate the customer. I want to let them know this is what's going on. This is why we're doing what we're doing. This costs this much, and this is what needs to be done in order to repair this. Because I want them involved, so that it's not dropping off something and then just coming back and paying a bill. It's no,
Right.
This is what I'm bringing it for. This is what you're getting, and this is how this works. And they're sharing that. They're sharing that with their neighbors and
Right.
their coworkers, and it's a different experience, and I think
Yeah.
it's valued.
I get it. Sometimes it does happen. That it's kind of like a hit and run situation. Like, boom, here it is, and boom, and like, what happened,
Yeah.
And then down the line, you have trouble. And it's like, well, I thought you had fixed it. Well, it's something else now. And it's rare. And again, I come back to starting a business. I quickly realized that service, if you provide a great service, you will never be without work. Because people will realize, hey, man, this guy did a great job. I don't have problems. I don't have issues. He's pretty fair, and overall, I'm just happy for all the work that he does, and then you have those, of course, that aren't going to do the greatest work, and you're going to get burned. And it's good to know, once you know someone who's going to be able to provide a good service, and whatever that service may be, is that you definitely want to establish or create a relationship with that business or whoever it is that you're working with, to be able to say, I don't have a problem. I know that if I call, it gets done. There's nothing, like you said, engaging them and being able to let them know exactly, or walking them through the process of, this is what I'm doing, or this is what you need, or maybe what you don't need.
Yeah, sometimes it's just about, sometimes our other foundational our goals, or mantras is honesty and integrity, because I mean there are jobs that I go out to look at and I have to either say this is not worth repairing, or this is not something that I can do, and that's,
or you got to fix somebody else's problem that somebody worked on.
And that's just being, you got to be upfront and honest. You can't take something, and you don't want to put someone in a worse situation than they're already in. And sometimes it takes that conversation just to be very upfront and honest with them, and you're doing a service to them by helping them to understand what's going on, and so that they don't dig a really deep hole. There are some problems that we run into, and somebody can get into their machines. So sometimes it is that effect where it's like the domino effect, right? You fix this, and this happens, and this happens, and this happens. So if you've got a chain of events that's becoming apparent, and sometimes you just have to let them know where that's at, so that it doesn't come back to where, like you said, hey, I thought you fixed this, and now this is going on. But they need to understand that, these systems work together and how they work. And that's what we aim to do.
You get that onion. You're peeling.
Yes.
The onion effect.
Yes, I heard that recently. You peel back everything to try to get to the core of, okay, what is the problem? I mean, you may see a symptom, but it's not necessarily the problem what you're dealing with, because it may be a couple of things.
Yeah, there's a multitude, and you get the primary one, or the first priority, right? And you get that fixed, and then you can see all the others that are there. So yeah, and just to add on, as far as, yes, we're most definitely a customer service based business, and as John had mentioned, as far as our foundation and our company names with Kingdom and Trinity, our mentality in our everyday work is having that servant attitude and perspective, and and that's what drives the help, the assistance, the wanting to educate. And just, we have people that call and just, hey, I have this issue. And they're, they'll talk, and if I'm fortunate and John's around and he gets to hear what their problem is, he's like, oh, well, this is what you need to do, or this is how I can help you. And, we can save them a towing expense, or...
Yeah, no, well, it's good to know that you are out there, and if anybody out there right now is listening and would like to be able to, get in touch with them, we will have that information on our Facebook as well. And we'll let you know how you can get a hold of them, because I know that kind of thinking you're going to get some calls from people that are listening out there. But thank you so much for joining us here. Unfortunately, we are at the end of our interview already, but thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it.
It's been great.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas.